All right, so we went to start replacing the axle seal, right? It turns out that I don't actually have the correct socket for it. It's a 36mm socket. So I don't have that. So I'm gonna soak it overnight because I don't feel like dealing with it. And I pulled the drive shaft off already. So it is disabled. But you guys look over here, my drive shaft doesn't wiggle side to side, it's just up and down. Same with this one. So I ordered new parts. All right, so I tried multiple times breaking this nut loose with a breaker bar. You guys can see there's a breaker, there's my torque wrench. It didn't work. So I'm like, screw it, break the impact out. This thing took it off without any struggle. Yes, I know, chrome socket, get over it. But 12 point. Now, we need to figure out how to get that off. Oh, by the way, we did go and buy the mom wagon. But now we need to get that out. So this will be fun. Well, having the board didn't work, so I went to the auto parts store, spent more money unnecessarily. Gonna throw these in the truck. Since for some reason you guys like my misery. There we go. Here, go throw this in. Nope, get those off your hands, boy, they're dirty. Go throw that in the truck. Got one of these, definitely want one. Cut off wheels and a puller tool, so this will be nice. All right, so you guys can see I am adding this to my collection of things to hold with me. So for the video you guys saw the other day, I might drag this one out a good bit because I got plenty of stuff to do. But 17mm wrench, and that's how I'm getting this thing off. Just laying under here. This actually isn't bad. It's moving pretty decent for what it is. I didn't know that this was going to be strong enough, and apparently it is. It's moving right along. You could probably speed this process along with a impact, but why would I do such a thing? All right, we got her out. Took a pick, got it underneath, screwdriver, and then a bunch of shit. So apparently we need grease, and I didn't know that. So I'll go get more grease. All right, here's the one that I pulled out. It seems like it looks fine, but there is a little bit of a groove in it. So even though I want my money back, I'm probably just gonna end up throwing this one on. So I got the grease over here. Hopefully this is high temp enough to throw in there, but we shall see. All right, there's a new one. Just got the seal pounded in. Tried to clean as much oil around it as possible quick, and then just tapped it in with a hammer. So now I'm gonna throw some grease in here. Hopefully the high temp grease is what I have in it. Hopefully we'll see. But yeah, so gonna toss that in, and hopefully this thing doesn't leak anymore. All right, she's on there. Hopefully it doesn't leak. Good God. I am gonna put the drive shaft back on. I need to cut the bolts down because I think that's why it was leaking before. But there is some grease in there, and this thing is probably gonna rust like the rest of them, but it is what it is. All right, here we go, another day. I bought a bunch of stuff in here. I went to Home Depot. I wanted to go and get one of these, but I ended up spending, I think I went to go and spend like 150 bucks, and I ended up coming out with about $360 later. So a bunch of blades. So we're gonna try and do this another way. Come on. Because yeah, well, I don't know, I want to try this different way. I went and got some goggles and new gloves and stuff. Of course it's gonna rain today, so I'll throw this stuff in the cab. So this week has just been getting, you know, kind of suckier and suckier as it goes on. This is the longest I've actually had the truck down for one period of time, and that's mainly just me being lazy. We did go and get the other vehicle, so it's like I'll just run the Honda around. So with doing that, now I'm like, oh, I'll work on the truck today, whatever. I'll cut the other U-joints out and go along my way. Well, now it's raining, so I am headed down to the storage unit to go grab my canopy so that I don't have to work out while it's raining. It's supposed to thunderstorm around 3. I want to get the truck going, okay? I want to be able to drive it. I got a coolant leak, I got an oil leak. I definitely want to start messing with the turbo oil drain at some point. Of course, I forgot my wallet, so I guess I'm not going anywhere other than the storage unit when I get there. All right, back home now. I went and bought some of the big blades, you know, because these are actually super nice to have in handy. So a couple of things of brake cleaner and U-joints and just a bunch of other stuff. We'll see how this thing does. Apparently these blades and these blades are not doing very well for cutting these, so angle grinder it is, the big old depth blade on here. This I feel like will come in handy later on down the road, but for now this is not the use for it. Maybe if we need to cut an exhaust up or something, but for what it is, this is not working out the way that I thought it was going to. So nope. All right, so there's the first one. Works like a charm, just kind of looks a little sketchy. You can see it's already coming apart in certain areas, but this is the type of blade that actually ended up doing that to my arm before. So also, for anybody that's wondering, I need to cut that. Zip ties are dangerous. So we'll pound these out with a hammer, and then I use a vise to press the new ones in. All right, that's that one cut out. Not too bad. Like I said, just hammer to pound these out, and all good. All right, that's one side done. Now you can see the Bluetooth U-joints. They're done. So now I just got to throw all this stuff away. I'm gonna start knocking out the other side. Now I do not recommend this method at all, but I take all 4 of these off. I slide the first 2 in. So I'll slide it down. I smack the one side in with a hammer, and then let me see. So if I have this one right here, right, I will slide it in all the way like that. I'll slide a cap over it, make sure it's tight, pound that down in, then I'll move it all the way over to the other one, put another cap on and smack that in, but you have to make sure there's even pressure. Otherwise, you're gonna lose the little roller bearings on the inside. All right, well that's done. By the way, I do not recommend putting grease in them because apparently that makes it so that there's no way for it to escape and it doesn't sit flush on both sides. So now you're fighting to get these in and these are fucked. So can't wait to get a new drive shaft, but I'm gonna throw this thing on now and hope like how it works, because I am tired of working on this thing. But after this is done, it'll at least run and drive. Then we start messing with the coolant. All right, drive shaft is reinstalled. I do need to go down there and retighten the bolts, but other than that, you can see there's a new yoke on there and seal, so hopefully that doesn't leak. It does, gonna be a little annoyed. I see something dripping from it, but I'm hoping that that's just water, because it is raining today. So this has been irritating, but I did cut all of these off, and then the new bolts I was using, I am cutting them down. I do prefer these 19 mil head with a lock washer, grade 8 I believe, and they don't strip as easy. All right, now I'm gonna tackle, you guys can see there's a little bit of a coolant leak right there. Not a little bit, pretty decent bit of a coolant leak. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this whole line off, and then we're just gonna run straight to back there. So hopefully this comes out as nice as I think it's going to. I want to try to organize this a little bit, get rid of this metal lines here. So also at some point, some people, you guys can see the oil drain. What is happening is I had to shoot 90 and go towards the front of the engine because I'm using the place of the common rail. So the common rail itself has a port towards the back of the engine, which is why this is not working, because this is actually hitting the motor mount and then causing it to leak. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably just drilling a hole in the oil pan down there, and from there I'm going to run that straight down, so into that. So I thought I drained the coolant and went and pulled that line off down there, and it went everywhere. So not to mention, I started messing with some stuff, and apparently 2 of the bottom motor mount bolts came out. It's a brand new motor mount. We lost 2 bolts somehow. So I'm gonna start messing with that. I'm gonna start messing with the turbo oil drain. This thing is not moving until it is completely fixed. So this is gonna be fun. All right, so we can kind of sort of see under here. You can see where the drain's leaking at the gasket. I want to pull all this off. This thing's gonna get all pressure washed and cleaned up and everything, so definitely sick of oil leaks. All right, so I'm gonna do everything at once, but I got all the lines off. We are working on getting turbo drain. I think it's time for dinner, so I'm gonna go eat. But we got the turbo drain coming off. I just need to get it out of there and then find a way to get down in there, and I need to get a couple bolts for the motor mount. I'll show you guys actually what that is. All right, we're back. I am getting 2 bolts. There's the 2 hoses back there I just got off. So, got this long piece here. We're gonna fit that up. I think I'm gonna do the top one to this guy right here, and then the bottom one will go down there. All right, so here's kind of the routing we got going on. Everything is tucked neatly over there, and then comes down into here, and then this goes down. I have the oil pressure sensor harness zip tied up. I have the harness for the plug up here wired up, so that's how I think we're gonna do it. And then I'm gonna put all the coolant back in, and hopefully that's enough to keep it from getting hot. Obviously, if that's not too hot for that piece of plastic right there, this should be plenty of room for these coolant lines. So I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I think it does work out. The Breaker Brothers diesel, I watched his video on how to do this whole swap in general, but this is the routing that he kind of had at a different manifold. This is how I'm gonna do this. So it seems like it should do fine. And I'm gonna fill it up with coolant, and hopefully we have no leaks. And then at some point, I do need to put this somewhere. I don't know how I wanna do this yet. This thing is nice to have. Hopefully nothing starts leaking. But it is getting dark, so I will pay attention specifically to that one there. But we're gonna start messing with the drain either tonight or tomorrow. And I need to go get motor mount bolts. I threw 2 full gallons in it. It took both of those. I'm on my 3rd gallon on top of that 3 gallons that was in the bucket. So I'm not getting any more out of it, so I might just let this sit overnight. But I think if you guys can see, here was the drain, right? So you can see the hard angle on it. This sits right up against the motor mount, okay? So I'm wondering if I can't just take one of these hoses and run a straight 90 off of it in the meantime, but I don't know. If not, I'm gonna have to take the oil pan off in order to put a bung in there, which means that I got to do an oil change, which I don't know that I want to do yet. But coolant leak fixed, and working on fixing one of the oil leaks. So I think I'm gonna put my tools away and call this again tomorrow. I'll just set that just like that. All right, so we're out here next day. I just got this buttoned up. So all of this is done. There are no leaks. I haven't run it yet, obviously, so we haven't really gotten any pressure into the system. You can see right there, nice clamp. Hopefully we should not have any issues. There is clearance everywhere. So now we're working on a drain. I'm considering just cutting this 90 out of this pipe here and then trying to 90 off of that. So trying to figure out the best way to do this, because I really don't want to pull the oil pan if I don't have to. Like, I am so tired of working on this thing today. But I do need to go get 2 bolts, you can see there, the motor mount. So fun. All right, so here is, I'm gonna set you guys right here, okay? Here's kind of what we came up with, okay? I cut this off. This is a coolant line. So I am gonna have this basically like that clears the motor mount and the compressor housing by very little, but it clears it, okay? So engine movement or anything, it's not gonna hit it. So I'm gonna get this TIG welded. Then on the inside, I'm gonna try to get this all flush and perfect after it's TIGged, but I've already done plenty of clearancing, so we'll see how this comes out. But this is basically plan is to get this TIG welded today. So that's perfect. That'll be one oil leak taken care of. Then to go from this, I'll have to chop this down, but that's the plans. Need to get that TIG welded. All right, back from Home Depot. I spent another couple $100. 120 of that was the vacuum, but I got these I got new drill bits, I got a bunch of electrical tape, I got a 6-pack of glasses, and a couple bolts. So because I apparently misplaced some bolts for the motor mount, so we're gonna get these installed quick. Hopefully it's that easy. I don't think it's gonna be, but we'll see. And there you go, there we have it, 2 bolts right in. All right, so basically what I did, I don't know if you guys can see it, I took a ratchet strap to a frame hole, and then I put it inside of here, and I pulled the bottom portion of the mount back, and then I was able to get both of the bolts in. So I'm gonna get them tight, and then hopefully never have any more issues again. I do need to get a turbo drain gasket, if you guys can see. But that should be the last thing I need to do before I can actually physically drive this thing. So hopefully that'll be done today. This is one of those things where you're like, do you think it has an oil leak? That circle that's all gear oil. And then there's some back there, and that was before I replaced it. So none of this is from after replacing it. This was all before that. That's how much we were leaking. It was shooting it up the sides, and then when I'd park, it would all drip down the bedside, and this is where it was sitting. So great. Now we're gonna get the extractor out, and I wanna do those 2 bolts right here and right here. And then I should, if you guys can see it, there's a bolt right there. Should be able to get that one at some point as well. Then we'll have 4 good bolts, and then we can put the AC compressor back on. And then I like to get this thing all charged up. I would like to get some AC eventually, but this is just one of the steps to getting it. It's amazing how easy it is to access everything underneath here once you take the fender liner off. If this battery wasn't here, I would have a hell of an easier time working under here. All right, so I'm slowly realizing that this coolant hose is gonna have to get out of the way in order for me to actually be able to get my drill bit into these top 2. And I really don't feel like dealing with it right now, so I'm just gonna leave this alone and I'm gonna be done. And then we're just gonna get the drain situated, and then she's good to go. All right, so next day I went and we got this thing all finagled up. This is not gonna be a permanent setup. I just need something that's gonna last me for a couple months. Got JB Weld because apparently that's good stuff from what I've heard. And mitt. I bought a mitt for each truck. All right, here we go. I'll throw that over there. So I went and bought a kit. This should have 2 drain gaskets, so we should be all right in the future. And yeah, so we're gonna get this thing thrown on. It does not leak. And then, yeah, throw the gasket on. It was actually just leaking from the gasket. So I could have realistically put the old setup back on, but I didn't really like it. I don't like this either, but this will do the job, and it's flexible. So get this thrown on quick and go from there. Also, I went and got a head mount, chest mount, and a 360 rotating camera mount. So content will be changing up very shortly. All right, it is far from pretty, but hopefully we have a drain that does not give me any problems for a couple months. I'm gonna get a custom oil pan done up for the truck, because I mean this one was kind of rusty, so I'm gonna get another one made so that I can just go straight down into it like it was intended. So I'm gonna get all 4 of the fender flares off now, because I would like to pull the inner liners off and wash everything, and then I'll get these back here off as well. But we're gonna keep the mud flaps on, so hopefully I don't get pulled over today. All right, here it is. No fender flares at all. No inner liners, because I want to start it and make sure that it's not gonna leak first. Then I'm gonna start putting my tools away, and then I'm gonna wash everything in here. I want all the oil off the frame. So you guys can see how much is out. But for what it is, we'll see if it starts. Hopefully it starts. this, like I said, is where I'm gonna finish it off. I do want to get all this cleaned up, and I'm gonna start putting tools away. No fender flares, all this back here. I want you guys to let me know. I'm gonna show you. Unfortunately, it's a little shady. With or without fender flares. I kind of like it with, but we do got a lot of tires sticking out back here without it. So, get all this cleaned up. I'll get right back to you. All right, so aside from the fact that it's missing a wheel and the hood's still popped, this is about where it's gonna be. Oh, I forgot my knife. So, all that's organized, gone through. I have everything in here. I got everything reorganized. I know this isn't gonna stay, some of this might not stay put, but I am gonna work around and see about getting this perfect. Just try to see if we can't. There we go. Now nothing should move. Got everything here reorganized, so all the fluids, everything's good. Other than that, I might decide to trim these mud flaps up so we can actually bring them the whole way up. So other than that, I don't know yet. Let me know what you guys think though. Do we keep the flares off? But if we keep them off, this damage right here shows. So with the flares on there, it actually covers all this damage up, which is kind of neat. But I don't know, if we keep them off, I can also get a different style flare. We can get mega cab flares. I don't know yet, but that's pretty much gonna do it. Also, I wanted to make mention for a bunch of the guys, there was a bunch of comments on me working on my truck off duty. I don't care. What I do off duty is no business to a DOT officer. I just want to make that mention. Obviously, I'm not putting myself on duty to work on this thing right now. That's just stupid. I've been off now for the last week, and I'll probably be off until Friday of this week. And then I'll be coming out there. So I'm probably gonna stay out for like 3 to 3.5 weeks to kind of make up for some of this time that's sitting down time. I was probably gonna take this much time off anyway, but to kind of make up for a couple of things, this month is already, this week, I mean, I made that video about the $21,000 we spent. We're up to about 24, so it's, I might want to get back on the road sooner than later. I did order custom parts off of Amazon, so we'll be able to come right off of that. We're gonna go from a 10 AN fitting, and then it's gonna make a straight 90, and then we will be able to hit it going right to the hose right there, and we should have no more issues. And then turbo oil drain, hopefully that's a permanent solution. If it's not, then I will decide to do the custom oil pan. But in the meantime, I do think that is about it. So I'm gonna get this all wrapped up, start editing for you guys, and let me know down in the comments what the next video should do, because I'm not really doing anything. I got a couple days of waiting for parts. So let me know. Safe travels. See ya.